Perfect. Hey, Toby, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Megan? You all right?
I'm doing well. Congratulations on the second season.
Thank you
So
very
far,
much.
yeah, so far the only two episodes have aired so far. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about the season so far? And the fans' reaction to it?
I'm really happy. It's been a lot of hard work put into this, so I'm really happy that people get to see our labor of love, and yeah, the reactions have been very positive. So shout out to all the fans of the show. Thank you all very much.
And obviously, this is the second season. So how did your approach on the second season differ from the first season?
Um, The only difference was the amount of depth I had to was the depths I had to go really. I had to really research a lot of things. I had to research American and African American history, African American relations with particularly with the police, the prison industrial complex. I had to delve a little bit deeper into that, and also I guess the laws and the legalities around this very odd and slightly morally dubious world of Kingstown. Yeah, I had to really research all of those kinds of things in order to understand the psychology of the character and how that affects the character and how that affects the decisions and the choices that they have, what they think they have, and things like that. You know what I'm saying?
Was there anything that like really surprised you during your research?
Yeah. So I watched 13. So I watched 13 years ago when it came out,
Mhm.
directed by Ava DuVernay. But I watched it again this time, but this time with this is it was it was more focused because now I'm in America and I'm playing in America, and just the suddenly what I'd learned now had a very different spin on it, and I was very surprised, quite saddened actually, but it was very surprised and quite shocked as to how the legality of this perversion. I guess it's weird. I don't know what to I don't know the best words to call it, but it's quite dark and it can be quite sinister sometimes. But yeah, that's yeah.
And then you guys also changed locations for this season. You guys, and also you were the first season, you guys were in a complete lockdown. So there was a lot of, kind of, there was a lot of like everybody has to stay kind of away from each other. That chemistry is harder to build. Now, the second season, not only did you move to Pittsburgh for filming, but
Mm.
the restrictions weren't as tough. So did you find it easier to build a better chemistry with your co-stars because of that?
Yeah, most definitely. But we still had to we still had to approach it with a level of caution. It wasn't just yeah, let's all go out and stuff. We were very conscious about where to go and how many people were going to be there and that kind of stuff, and even shaking hands. I mean, I did not leave anywhere without my sanitizer, so I might have offended a few people because my sanitizer is a spray. So before I even shook their hands, and even after, I was, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
no, I don't blame
yeah,
you.
yeah, but it was easier in the sense that I got to meet people who I'd seen on screen and stuff like that for the first time, and kind of build a relationship and everything like that. So, and it was great to just be able to share that. Season one, I really struggled because we were in lockdown and we couldn't really do much. So, and I was at the time I was my wife she wasn't with me, so I found that really hard to deal with, to cope. So my only saving grace was really just kind of focusing on the character and the scripts and stuff like that. That was really what I did.
And then this season, Bunny kind of, it's actually the first two episodes, he already has found himself back inside prison, doing kind of like an inside job. But like his relationship with Mike is so complex that you can't trust either of them. And so how do you feel about that? Like, going into this, that your character is being placed in a situation that like he doesn't really want to be in, but like he has his own, I would assume, selfish reasons for doing what he's doing. I mean, can you dive a little bit into that?
No, I can't. You're just gonna have to watch it.
Okay. Well, no. So then for you, I mean, obviously there's a little bit of a tougher situation going on. You know, all the leaders are back
Yeah.
in prison. You know,
Hmm.
you're working obviously with a lot of different characters, having a lot of one-on-one scenes, obviously, with Jeremy Renner's Mike. So how has that been for you, working not only with, you know, Renner one-on-one, but also these bigger ensemble scenes where it's kind of like you get to lead the pack?
It's great. It's great because because everybody is so for it. It makes it easier to play on set. So it doesn't really feel like it feels like the labor is shared. You know, the burden is shared. So it's like, and then with that comes this camaraderie. You know, you're working with somebody that you thoroughly enjoy just hanging out with anyway, and you get to kind of explore more because there is a level of respect and a level of comfortability, you know, being with that person. And but not to but that doesn't take away from the fact that you still have to do the work and you need to come prepared because the people I'm working with are consummate professionals. Do you know what I mean? The crew, the stunts, the armory, all of that stuff. They're all just really hot on their jobs. And then you come into the space with actors who are just at the top of their game. They're just fantastic, sharp-witted, you know, eloquent. They also do the work, and they have a love and appreciation for storytelling. And just being in that environment, you can't come in half-hearted and kind of just blah blah. You're gonna get shown up very quickly. You know, you have to meet them at that level, and when you do, everything gets elevated even more. I know I'm a bit animated at the moment, but that's how exciting it feels on set when I'm around, you know, my colleagues, my friends.
Do
Yeah.
you ever feel like that's because obviously you're alluding to it's forcing you to be a better actor? So are there ever any moments where you feel like I'm on the same level, I'm completely same level, like we nailed that scene, and then you do a redo of the scene and the person you're working against just takes it to a whole nother level and you're like, oh, I have to up my game now, like,
Nah, I
you know?
never get comfortable. I never get comfortable. That's a mistake. I really cannot. I don't feel comfortable making. You know, I'm constantly seeking how to the best way to delve deeper into this character in order to bring the truth and the depth to the screen. And there's with that comes you have to also be conscious of the actual technique of doing it. I come from the stage, you know, I'm a
Mhm.
theater actor. I come from theater and stuff, so everything is quite big. So I learned from Jeremy how to really hone in on this and especially your eyes. And he does it so well that it's there are times where I could cry just watching the intricacies in this guy's very minute expressions that the camera picks up. You know, had I not learned that, I'd have been I'd just been huge. You know what I'm saying, on camera, and then it might not have worked and stuff. But yeah, I learned a lot just off that.
Well, as you said, the transition from stage where you have to perform to the back of the audience, you have to be as big as you can get, to, you know, being in front of the camera, it's a struggle. And do you still find yourself, you know, currently now still saying, no, not projecting to an audience, it's just me and the camera? So do you ever find yourself catching yourself and be like, let's redo that?
Not particularly, because I understand now. I know the differences, and I understand what I'm playing to. And actually, funnily enough, I was able to shadow a couple of people on set. So I shadowed some of the producers. I shadowed Tasha Smith on set, and Stephen Kay at times, and also the camera operators, Magera, Doc, and some of the other camera operators, and also the DOPs, Stuart Campbell and Kenji Katori. I shadowed them on set. So just learning all of that stuff kind of enabled me to um, it enabled me to understand what they were looking for and what they were trying to pull out. And therefore, just from that understanding, I was able to say, okay, cool. So perhaps I don't need to be this big, or I don't. Maybe I should approach the technique slightly different. You know, tweak it here and there, and just to have that understanding. It doesn't. I don't need to study it to like a degree level or anything like that. I just need to understand just a little bit what they are seeing, and it sort of elevates the performance. It allows me to elevate and understand what I'm trying to do better. Yeah.
And then finally, for my last question, since we can't really spoil anything because the third episode hasn't aired yet, what can fans look forward to from Bunny this season for the rest of
a good time? Good time. Now we're gonna this season we are seeing more of this world that we live in by way of this relationship between Mike and Bunny, and Mike's relationship with everybody else within this world. But it's obviously it's because of the riots. So it's really, the riots are fresh. Season 2 starts 10 days after the riots have kicked off. So we are seeing the very immediate after effects and the psychological turmoil that causes, and the psychological, emotional, and physical turmoil, all of that causes. So all of this is fresh. You know, the scabs haven't even closed up. The scabs haven't even shown up on the wound. It's still bleeding, you know, and it's bleeding out into the streets and stuff. So it's a lot. This is relentless, but also highly entertaining, and with a touch of sensitivity. You know, it's important to know that these people we're portraying could be human beings, and there are people who actually relate to this, who live in these kinds of environments and stuff, and it's important to know that. So yeah, it makes us question our own humanity in the process as we observe how they do theirs, how they live their lives in this really tense pressure pot. You know.
Yeah, well, like I said, so far the season has been very intense, and you're right. Like it is a good time, just not the good time that you would really define it. You know, usually define it as. But thank you so much, Tobi, for just sitting down and talking with me today. Cannot wait for everyone to watch the rest of the season and see basically what happens.
Thank you, Megan. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.